走，你们这两个男人，
我不走，
走什么走？
走，
我不走。
我
今天给我
不要再来我家了
没有要我钱，你走不了。
分手费。
还想要分手费？你想多了一点。你们看啊，就这两个，这个女的。
你拍什么拍啊？
当初
有话你就好好说，你不要拍下来干什
当初我
么？
落魄的时候啊，我公司倒闭的时候，你呢跟他跑了，你现在回来干什么？
那时候你日子都过不下去的，你还要带我一起跟你过
日子过不下去，我们可以一起努力，我们可以再把生活变好。那你直接就走了，
变好什么？
你还跟他走了？
有什么变好？公司都倒闭了，人家都跟了你6、7年，跟了什么？
跟我6、7年。那我公司没倒闭之前，我对他不好吗？啊，
对他不好。
但是你倒闭，你看生活费什么的，我得去赚钱吧，对吧？我不可能跟你天天就吃泡面。
In a quiet neighborhood house, a tense scene unfolds, feeling more like a movie script than the reality of a man already tired of life. Clearly irritated, he faces his ex-wife and her companion, who doesn't seem the least bit embarrassed. "Get out of here," he shouts, his voice filled with bitterness, as if he's run out of patience for even a hint of consideration. The story that unfolds is a mix of betrayal, opportunism, and a level of irony that's almost too perfect. Years ago, when his business collapsed and he lost everything, his wife didn't hesitate. She abandoned him without a second thought and ran off with another man. And him? Well, he stayed there, surviving on instant noodles, without even a stale piece of bread to eat. While he sank deeper into misery, she moved on with a shamelessness as if she'd never had any commitment. Now, years later, after he's managed to get back on his feet buying a new house, a car, and even a bit of dignity, she reappears. And no, it's not for love, nor remorse, nor nostalgia. No, she comes back for one simple, very clear thing: money, a separation fee, she says. Nothing more, nothing less than $5,000 in compensation for a marriage she abandoned herself, without a second glance at what he was going through. By her side is a new woman who stood by him during all those tough years. A woman who, as he himself points out, gave her youth to him, staying by his side when he had nothing but empty promises and the hope of better days. A woman who stuck around while his ex ran off without a word. Don't you have any shame? He asks, with a wry smile of someone who's seen enough drama films to know how the plot goes. When I was broke, you left me. Now that I have something, you come back. Is that possible? He doesn't need more words. The look of disdain on his face says it all. The tension heightens when the ex-wife, full of demands and the arrogance of someone who thinks life is about pressuring others, threatens not to leave the house. She promises to disturb his peace until she gets what she wants. But he, already done with it all, stands his ground. Is the money just going to fall from the sky? He asks sarcastically, clearly exhausted by the endless demands. He had already given everything he could when they separated, even when he had nothing. He gave what he had, but it wasn't enough for her. The scene ends with him, unyielding, reaffirming his stance. There's no easy money, no going back, and above all, no forgiveness for someone who abandoned him in the toughest moments of his life. This story isn't just about old grudges, bad choices, and their consequences. It's a painful lesson about loyalty and betrayal, and how money, that disguised villain, can reveal people's true character both in its absence and when it appears in abundance. The most ironic thing about all this, in the end, he learned what really matters, the ones who stayed by his side when he had nothing.
告诉你们，兄弟们，有钱是不值。
Let me tell you something, guys. Having money doesn't mean you won't have women around, but the better the car you drive and the more you display your supposed financial strength to women, the higher the cost of interacting with them, and the harder it becomes to find true love. Nowadays, women are very clever. When you show that you're rich, that you drive an expensive car, and live in a luxurious place, they will try to find ways to tie themselves to you, hoping that you'll provide them with material value for a long time. At this point, the only currency they have to trade with is their body. And with that, they'll try to get everything they want from you. Now I ask you, will they easily let you get what you want? On the contrary, a truly good woman, upon seeing that you display so much value, will have self-awareness. She won't dream of having a long-term relationship with you. Instead, she'll think you're just interested in her body and that the relationship will be brief. At this moment, women become very cautious and will likely reject you. So guys, stop saying, "Look at that guy driving a nice car, he seems to have an amazing life." In reality, he probably doesn't have true love. Let me give you an example from my own life. In the past, I, Professor Huang, was just a simple employee at a multinational company, driving an old Toyota. I earned about 10,000 yuan a month, and honestly, many women were interested in me for who I was. They were willing to invest in me, and some even wanted to have children with me. But after more than 10 years, when I started my own company, made money, and began driving better cars, things changed. I'd bring women to my house, talk about life plans, share my love for painting, photography, and art. And you know what they said? "Ah, you talk too much. My head can't absorb all of this. Studying these things is too tiring." I realized that what they really cared about wasn't what I knew or loved. What mattered to them was what I was going to buy them the next day, where I would take them shopping, and how much I would spend. They didn't care about who I was. So, guys, while you envy others, know that they might also be envying you. Today, I, Professor Huang, want to say, all men, if you really make money, it's better to spend it traveling the world than to waste it randomly on women. Don't over-exhibit your financial value. If you spend money on women without heart, you're just funding someone else's wife. Everyone thinks that having money means there's no shortage of women. But you need to understand that the kind of person money attracts might not be what you desire. As they say, with money, even ghosts will work for you. But think about it. What is attracted by money will eventually be taken away by money. So, remember the words of Professor Huang. If you want to show that you're rich and dream of one day making a lot of money to have beautiful women around you and emotional freedom, you'll just become the target of gold diggers and opportunistic women. We work hard to make money and improve constantly, not to attract a bunch of trash, but to become stronger, more mentally stable, more attractive, more competitive in society, and full of masculinity. Remember, if you want true love, money should be your foundation of confidence, not a tool to attract women.
真有钱啊，你越遇不到真爱。
The reality is that the more money you have, the harder it is to find true love. This is an absolute truth. Guys, don't envy those driving luxury cars. 7 years ago, when I was starting my business, I was making just a few thousand a month and working non-stop. Back then, my girlfriend treated me really well. She cared a lot about me, always asking if I was too tired from work. When I worked late, sometimes until 3 a.m., she would come to my office, keep me company, and bring me some good chicken soup. I would take her to eat something simple, and we were both happy and content. It was a great time. 3 years ago, when I managed to make my 3 businesses successful, I changed cars, getting a McLaren and then a Lamborghini. That's when the women started to show up. But most of them wanted me to buy things for them, take them abroad for trips. One time, I invited a girl to a street barbecue stand. She looked at my $1 million car and said, "You have a car like that and you're taking me to eat street barbecue." She had such a superficial attitude. Right then, I got annoyed and left her by the street, walking away without even looking back. Sometimes, trying to impress a woman with your cooking skills doesn't work. She won't care about what you can do. What she wants to know is what you'll buy for her tomorrow, if you'll take her to shop for luxury brands, how much you can spend on her card. She won't care about what you have or what talents you possess. So, after that, I started focusing on improving my appearance, going to the gym, and developing different skills. And when I went on dates, I never used a luxury car again. And I realized that, in the end, I went back to where I was before. But this time, women were willing to spend money on me. So, guys, what matters is improving your own attractiveness, developing your qualities and talents, so that women begin to appreciate you. It's not about showing off what you have in front of them.
之后越不会考虑大龄剩女呢？
Why is it that the wealthier the man, the less likely he is to consider older women when choosing a partner? The reason is simple. 3 words, no value. When men choose a partner, the main aspects they consider are looks, body, and reproductive value and ability. And these two aspects are clearly disadvantages for older women, as they have no advantages in these areas. First, in terms of looks and body, a woman in her 30s is certainly not going to be as attractive as when she was in her 20s, and she won't have the same charm that she did in her 20s, right? Her belly starts to become loose, her eyes aren't as clear as before, they start to become cloudy, wrinkles and spots begin to appear on her face, her body starts to gain weight, and sometimes it even loses shape. She no longer has that youthful energy of a woman in her 20s, and even starts to snore, grind her teeth, and talk in her sleep. How could a wealthy man be interested in such a woman? It's clearly unrealistic. The second point is reproductive value and ability. Older women have clearly become high-risk pregnancies. Good reproduction and child-rearing are certainly not connected to them, right? First, there's the question of whether they can even have children. Secondly, there's the risk during childbirth. Will the man have to choose between saving the mother or the baby? This decision is too cruel for any man, and no one would want to endure it, and not even mentally. Morally, there would also be a huge pressure. The third point is whether the child born would be healthy. These are things men cannot avoid considering, right? Currently, a popular term online is water and power shutoff, and if you don't know what it means, you can search it online. It's quite interesting and amusing. Furthermore, in our traditional mindset, if the conditions allow, who wouldn't want to have more children, right? Now that the policy allows for 2 or 3 children, if someone is very wealthy, has multiple houses, and knows how to make money, who wouldn't want to have more children? But older women clearly cannot meet these needs of men. As mentioned earlier, even having one child is already risky and uncertain, let alone having a second or third child. Additionally, older women have other issues, such as temperament, personality, and mentality. Overall, they don't have the same health or posture as a young woman in her 20s. This is why wealthy men, when choosing a partner, prefer not to choose older women. Well, that's all for today. Bye!
One day, a friend asked me why richer men tend to attract women. Is this true? In relationships between men and women, there's always something unique that emerges. Around the world, men and women have, since birth, a certain level of attraction power, and many people do extraordinary things to explore this attraction. In the past, a man could have multiple women, but there were also many who tried hard to attract other women, especially businessmen. Today, a man typically has only one wife, but many still maintain mistresses. However, with economic development and the constant improvement of material conditions, the cost of maintaining mistresses has increased, and mostly only wealthy men can afford this luxury. So, does the richer a man get, the more he desires to attract a mistress? I don't believe so, and I think the idea of keeping an other woman is rare. In today's society, material temptations have become even more attractive. Women are becoming more beautiful and captivating, and it's easy to stray off the right paths. For these women, the decisive factor in getting involved is money, and that's the biggest attraction. Those who work hard to build their businesses, alongside their families, see their living conditions improving, their finances expanding, and gradually, their social circles changing as they begin to enjoy life. As for the women these men get involved with, they are stunning. When they go home and find their wives, there's an emotional barrier. In this context, many men prefer to keep these women separate. However, in a world as connected as today's, it's becoming increasingly difficult for a wealthy man to have a mistress, as any information about such a relationship can spread quickly and destroy the man's public image. People like Jack Ma, founder of Alibaba, Wang Jinlin, founder of Wanda Group, and Lei Jun, founder of Xiaomi, who have billions in fortunes, would they keep mistresses? The answer is definitely no. The more successful the man, the clearer his perspective on life tends to be. These men have a broader view than most and seek social development, not getting tempted by these kinds of distractions. For them, having a wife is enough. Mistresses, on the other hand, seek a luxurious lifestyle, but often aren't on the same level as the elite when it comes to mindset and awareness. Today, mistresses of millionaires demand a house, a car, full bank accounts, and parents in their 50s. But how many of these successful and single men are willing to meet these demands? Even if there are rich single men, they tend to be very picky when it comes to marriage. This is why many women try to seduce married and wealthy men, hoping their material needs will be met, but without caring about the relationship. However, the married life of rich men tends to be more stable. Faced with daily pressures, many of them end up looking for novelty and excitement. Of course, there are also women who try to deceive wealthy men, leading them into relationships outside marriage. Therefore, when criticizing men, we shouldn't forget to reflect on the social trends of today. The dynamics of extramarital relationships are not one-sided. In marriage, the wife can never keep up with her husband's steps, as if they are on different floors of a building, one on the 20th floor and the other on the 2nd floor. This creates a communication barrier between the couple. In this scenario, the man on the 20th floor meets a woman, and together they drift apart, while the wife, inexplicably, ends up becoming the unnecessary one in this story. What's your opinion on this topic? Leave it in the comments so everyone can know your point of view. If you like the video, give it a like and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this. I'll see you in the next video.